Steelers offense versus 49ers defense. And let's start up front with the big uglies. Okay, here's the Steelers offensive line. Okay. Starts with Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle. You got Samalu, who came over from the Eagles at left guard. Mason Cole center. You got JT Daniels, the Iowa Hawkeyes guy. He's been all over the place. Right guard. And Okafor, I can't say his first name. It's like Chukwuemeka. That's their right tackle. I'm going to say this. It's less... the 49ers offensive line, you got 4 dudes and a Hall of Famer. This is just 5 dudes. None of them are bad. None of them are great. Just average.
But the continuity is good there. And I think that's the context, right? Like, will the continuity for the 49ers offensive line be ready to go week 1? Last year, it wasn't, but you also had 3 new pieces. This year, you only have really technically 1 new piece you're adding in, so you're hoping the continuity is there. From the practices and the training camps and the preseason games, it looked like the offensive line took a couple of steps back, but the Hall of Famer wasn't out there. So you got to look at it like that. Now, their offensive line, their offense looked to seem like it was moving, it was flowing like water throughout the preseason, right? They were putting up points. Kenny Pickett looked like he MVP candidate, right? Like that's what the way they were making it. Look, they have continuity on their offensive line, and I'm not saying that the Niners don't, but our defensive front needs to figure out how to take advantage of this. And me personally, the difference this year between last year from our defensive front, because I'm looking at how to attack that offensive line, is the pressure up the middle. And I think that is where
we haven't seen.
There you go.
And that's key, because if Hargrave and Armstead can be what the Niners want them to be and stop that run up the middle and allow your linebackers to flow on the outside, and you shut down this run game. Kenny Pickett had more interceptions than touchdowns last year.
Kenny Pickett was worse than Sam Darnold.
He was way worse than Sam Darnold. Like, I get that he flashed down the end and they won a lot of games, and he, the big playability is there.
It was different.
But you got to look at the whole scope. I mean, Brock Purdy threw more touchdowns than him in half the games with a quarter of the turnovers. And so we'll kind of see how it goes. Now, Kenny Pickett's trending up and they love him and all those things, and maybe he's incredible. But this offensive line, if you can make him uncomfortable, stop the run, and make Kenny Pickett uncomfortable without Nick Bosa, we'll see. We'll see. I love this. Logan, he says, watch out for Pickens. All right, let's go out of order. Let's talk wide receivers and secondary, okay? Their biggest wide receiver and best wide receiver is George Pickens. Deontay Johnson, he's a little crazy route runner. And then they went and got Robinson. Allen Robinson is kind of their number 3. They've got Calvin Austin. They got a couple other speed guys.
Another speed guy.
But I don't know. Yeah, George Pickens is awesome. But I don't think that this is a very talented wide receiver core. Am I crazy?
No, because if you could look, we found a way, and I know it's tough to say this, we found a way to negate or kind of hold out some of the top wide receivers in the league over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Right? We played the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, right? I'm just curious to know what he did against us. But I know what Jamar Chase did by heart. I know he had 77 yards with a couple of TDs, but those TDs came because of plays that got down to the goal line. Right? You know what I'm saying? They weren't like big plays. So my point is limit the big play. Like limit that. If they score on the goal line to their number 1 wideout, fine. But you limit.
Justin Jefferson had 4 catches, 83 yards when we played him 2 years ago.
You just limit those big plays. I think the Niners are really good at figuring out how to take away the number 1 guy. How do you stop Deontay Johnson?
That's going to be key. And I think Logan, he's hitting on it. Oh, sorry, Clayton, I messed you up. Clayton's the absolute best there is. Ambry Thomas concerns me the most at outside corner. So if we're in our nickel packages, it seems like Ambry's going to be outside, Demo's going to be inside. Because you're going to
put Demo? Hey, here's what's funny, right? Because did he concern you his rookie season when he had to cover Jamar Chase? Did he concern you his rookie season when he had to cover? Oh my gosh, what's the receiver that was on the Titans and now is the Eagle? AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
Did he concern you when he had to cover the number 1 wide receiver? Doesn't it seem like he plays better when it's up to the competition? It just to me it does. And I'm not sticking up for Ambry Thomas. I'm just going off of what I know. When he has to play lesser type of competition, he just be second guessing himself and he just be all over the place. He's just not good. But when he knows he's stepping up to the plate, he's got to lock down that number one guy. He plays pretty damn well. So on the
Yeah.
outside, I'm hoping he's a guy that's on a guy like George Pickens. Even though you want Mooney Ward on him, they might try to switch it up. So it could work in our favor with Ambry out there covering out on the outside. And if we go to the nickel, but who knows? Maybe it's just all Diamador Lenore, and I'm hoping it's Mooney Ward on Pickens as much as we possibly
Yeah.
can. But if I'm the Steelers, I'm not leaving Pickens. I'm putting Pickens in the slot. Fuck that. I mean, bump that. I'm 6'3". Get 4'4". Get your behind in that slot and take advantage of the slot weakness. There's no more Jimmy Ward, y'all. It's
Yeah.
Isaiah Oliver. It's potentially Samuel Womack, maybe Diamador Lenore. It's a work in progress there. I'm taking
I like
advantage of that.
And I'll say this, like, look, George Pickens, he's going to get his. He's going to make a freaking circus catch at some point in contested coverage. That's his MO. That's what he does. That's going to happen. You just got to limit those. If he gets one or two, can you make him stop and settle for a field goal? Those types of things. In the NFL, they're going to score points. The over-under's at 41 now. So, yeah, it's going to be a low-scoring game. That's what Vegas is saying. I think it's going to be
I got
over,
low
though.
scoring, bro. I'm at the 21-13 mark.
Let's talk the last position group we got. Tight ends and running backs for the Steelers versus our linebackers. Pat Freiermuth is awesome. Najee Harris is a good back. But do you give them the advantage over Warner and Greenlaw and whoever's going to be our three, whether that's Burks or DFF? What are your thoughts there?
I think the 49ers have the best linebackers in the league. I think that's made clear. It's clear and present danger, right? So like whether it's stopping the run, Harrison Ford, whether it's stopping the run or whether it's covering. So my more concern is if they come out in some type of personnel with a couple of tight ends out there. So now you're forcing one linebacker to take on the tight end, and you're hoping your safety could pick up the other tight end. Again, remember earlier in the show, I was talking about what's his name's brother, Connor, the tight end for the Steelers. They picked him up, Connor Hayward. Like this is, and they have Darnell Washington too. Remember, like another guy. They can try to figure out a way to exploit that and force our safeties to cover some of these tight ends and things like that. And so it's going to be interesting, but am I worried? No, I just feel like our linebackers can cover running backs, period. I'm taking Fred Warner over Najee Harris and I might even take Fred Warner over CMC at this point. Like, but he's on our team, so I'm lucky. Like we're lucky.
You know, at camp, there were the four clear players that stood out, two on each side. Fred Warner, Talanoa Hufanga. I don't even think it was close. Those two were the best defensive players. It's every damn day.
It's amazing to me the level. I don't know what Fred Warner's mantra is, but every year he goes out to be better. And I know every player does this, but he actually proves it. Like he's like, yo, I could be 1% better. Like he's going year 5, 6, like 1% better. Like, and that's tough to do when they draft your replacements. We don't want to have that conversation, right? When they're drafting guys to potentially replace you because we can no longer afford these guys. So that's crazy. Like that's dope, man. Fred Warner's the guy. He's my favorite player, hands down.
Well, my favorite player is right next to him. Dre Greenlaw's my guy.
This is funny because
we're always like this.
Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman.
Navarro Bowman. I mean, it's
interesting.
Yeah,
you like the dogs, and I like the smart technicians,
talent, and all that stuff. Yeah. I want, but see, that's the thing. Like, I hated doing this as a coach, and I was guilty of this. Like, I would stereotype positions. Like, you play in secondary, and you're soft, and you're not a bully. I'm sorry, you're not going to be a starting corner for me. You don't fit.
Respect.
If you don't want to inflict pain on people as a linebacker and you're more of a finesse guy, go to the offensive side. You're going to be a backup running back or tight end. I don't want you over here. I need people that want pain. What Clubber Lang. right?
Yes,
What's
yes.
your prediction for this upcoming match? Pain.
Pain.
Forgot Quan Alexander's a Steeler. I love Quan Alexander.
Eh,
Um, I love Quan Alexander. I
I
just
love
love
him
his
too,
personality.
but I know one thing. He don't know how to tackle. So
No,
I will say this. Yeah, attack him.
I don't think
He's
he's going to get a lot of playing time. I think later in the year, if there's an injury or something, perhaps he will. But
oh, okay.
special teams and
Okay.
long term, that's kind of his role. But I love Quan. I'm glad he's in the NFL. And I'll say this: I'm going to positive and negative. Okay, positive. When Nick Bosa was asked who should have been their defensive player of the year, the Super Bowl run, he said Quan Alexander for what he did for the locker room and the morale and
Mm-hmm.
all that. And he wasn't even playing. And then the negative, I think he was the worst player of the Super Bowl and kind of cost us that game. Everybody wanted to talk about the overthrow from Jimmy or Kyle. Yeah, you go back and watch that defensive tape. That dude got butchered in that
Butchered.
Super Bowl.
He got
But
bullied.
it wasn't his fault. He came back early and shouldn't have been playing. He shouldn't have been
Yeah,
playing.
it was coming back from that injury. Yep, you're right.
But
You're
that's
right.
what it is. Now,
Here's before you know move on. Like I think my only concern is right. Like you talked about taking away the run. You got to make sure you don't get gashed up the middle. They're not an outside zone running team. Like they like to run in between the tackles and get yards. Now and if Najee Harris breaks loose, that's when he's dangerous. Right. And so that's my concern. It's not that he's a bad running back. It's just that his style is ground and pound. And I just feel like if the Niners don't eliminate that, he's going to try to exploit that the best way he can. So we got to figure out how to take away that run. Don't over pursue on the pass rush. I know we're going to try to get to the cornerback and watch out for the screens. You ever play Madden and you know they about to do a screen, but you just think you could get to the quarterback before he throw the ball?
can't take that bait. Can't take that bait, man. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Got to be
And I
disciplined.
will
You
say
talked
this.
about it. You talked about it.
Javon Hargrave in preseason, we had such a limited number of snaps. That
Super
dude blew
limited.
up like 2 or 3 screens. That's one of the things that I love most whenever I was doing the Philly film on him, which we have up on the Niners Rush and our Patreon. Like, that dude just blows up screens. Like, he reads it. Yeah, upstairs, man.
It's upstairs, man.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.